What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another replay cast here in HeroesHearth Warcraft 3. My name is Kendric, and it is my pleasure to show you guys a pretty stacked roster of players duking it out here on Last Refuge. We have, on the left-hand side, in the red trunks, the legend from the Ukraine known as Foggy. You know, a really well-known personality on the international stage. For a long time, he was labeled one of the strongest, if not the strongest, Western, non-Korean, non-Chinese player. Of course, most recently, that title has been snatched away by a legendary Undead player from Russia, and he's duking it out once again against a fellow Undead player. Not Happy this time, mind you, but XlorD from Germany, a pretty much legend in the Warcraft 3 scene. His name used to be basically a guarantee for stellar Undead play. He was considered to be one of the strongest Undead players in Europe, in the world, potentially even in the era of Madfrog and other legends back in the days. Certainly something hard to achieve. But, you know, XlorD coming back rather strongly over the last couple of months. He won tournament at Take TV, the Iron Couch. Quite surprisingly, I might want to say. And he's caused a little bit of a ruckus in the scene because although he might not be back to his former glory, and he has a full-time job, you know, he's not a fully dedicated Warcraft 3 pro like he was all those years ago, he is always a force to be reckoned with. So these two players, they faced each other at the Endgame Masters, casted and presented by Kaldor a couple of weeks ago. So we're going to take another look into this game, and we're going to present it to you from a replay point of view so we can talk about some things before and after the game started. So lean back, guys, buckle up, because we're about to watch some Warcraft 3 goodness. So we're going to unpause the game, and we're going to present it to you. Once again, Foggy in the reds, playing Night Elf, of course. What else? His opponent, XlorD in the blues, on the northern position over there. So Night Elf versus Undead is a very interesting matchup. Funnily enough, we just had this matchup on the last fight night on HeroesHearth with Grubby. We had two strong players duking it out. We had Neutron, actually, fight out the reigning champion, Ente. I'm not sure if you were able to watch the entire outcome of the fight night, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a spoiler alert. You will want to mute the next couple of seconds or so. I'm going to give you guys a chance to do that right now. 3, 2, 1. Spoiler alert. All right, Ente got taken out by Neutron. It was pretty crazy to see, actually. So, yeah, Undeads are looking very strong right now. And I don't think it has that much to do with the rise of Happy. Of course, Happy is a strong player, no doubt the strongest player that we have on the international stage so far. But I think Undead as a whole, as a race, you know, they were able to figure out the meta a little bit better. They struggled heavily at the beginning of 1.30. Didn't really seem to figure out what to do against Night Elf, but truth be told, who could back in the days where the Keeper was commencing his terrible reign of Entangle and Treants. So right now, I think Undeads have just stabilized a little bit more. They know what to do. And of course, they take inspiration from Happy's aggressive style, aggressive harassing with the DK, some skeletons presented by the Rod, and maybe an Acolyte to go for that early miraculous steal. You know, if it happens, if the Lambo Echo gets actually that kill, you're going to be eating for some treats. So yeah, let's see if XlorD plays the exact same style. For a long time in the professional meta, there used to be a so-called Chinese style that players like 120 WFZ defended a lot, and that was less aggressive than Happy. You know, they proposed creeping over harassing with the DK. So you would take the Acolyte, you would take ghouls, you would take skeletons, and creep as fast as you can to level 2, and take things a little bit more slowly. And Happy showed those folks that for the majority of the games, his aggressive style just reigns supreme, especially against certain races such as Night Elf, such as Human. Let's see what the XlorD DK can do here. He already spawns 2 skeletons. Always nice to have those early, because skeletons can actually deal surprising damage against archers who are very slow, who are very squishy, very low HP pool here. So both players, by the way, taking out those critters, which is always good for the Undead, because these critters spawn 2 skeletons, of course, from the Rod of Necromancy. But you want to do that for the main reason that these sheep, you know, these frogs, whatever you encounter on Warcraft 3, they can sometimes body block unintentionally or intentionally. You never know what these critters are up to. So it's always good to get rid of those. And here, XlorD does exactly what we said. He takes that corpse and spawns 2 more skeletons. The treants, though, they get dispelled. or they get expired rather, so no experience here for the Death Knight, who's still very much dry. Keeper currently sitting on 1 3/4. Found the Circle of Nobility, by the way, probably the most competitive item, I would say, in many ways, because it gives you mana, health, and a little bit of extra damage. And that is certainly something you always want to have to. Now, let's check out. I like this wisp positioning, by the way, by Foggy. Making sure that he has a little bit of vision there. And you can see what XlorD was trying to do. He already hacked on that first tree to get rid of the wisp. Or to at least attack it. And when a ghoul attacks a tree, it gets tainted when it's outside of the unholy ground. So, a really cool move here. The DK, in the meantime, chilling at the laboratory. Tries to keep being a thorn in Foggy's side. So what XlorD is trying to do right now, especially that the tech has been commenced, the tier 2 tech, is he's trying to hunt wisps. So 1 auto attack, 1 Frostborn Death Coil, and it's going to be enough to take down a wisp. Which not only is good experience for the Death Knight, mind you, but also, of course, cripples the lumber income for the Night Elf player, who's currently on tech and can't reproduce those workers. Of course, you have your wisps positioned near a moonwell that is on autocast, and so it's almost impossible right now for for XlorD to find any kills. Now the Death Knight, there we go. In the meantime, we see Foggy creeping it up here, almost lost an archer. So sometimes when you have this multitasking to do, you know, when you're creeping on the one hand and you're defending your base on the other hand, you may not have full attention anywhere. So it's actually quite admirable that Foggy's not losing anything at all. What is XlorD doing in the meantime? Is he also trying to do some multitasking here? It seems like XlorD may actually want to go for an expansion here. You see the Acolyte coming in, 5 ghouls. I am not sure if he can take that without losses, especially since the DK is still busy in the Night Elf base, and now we have seen what many, many times occurs when a Death Knight, when a Blade Master, when any hero tries to go too deep into enemy's base. It is the fact that they get body blocked in, they get entangled, but this time XlorD actually played it very well. He waited until the entangle went down before he used the Staff of Teleportation, and not the other way around, because otherwise he would have died. So the Death Knight now actually at the ready to support the ghouls who would have suffered terrible, terrible damage without him. The Acolyte, I think, has moved away already. Yes, it has. And keep in mind that Foggy had a wisp nearby. So if he was paying attention, if he was looking at the very moment, he will know that the Undead plans on doing a counter expansion. Of course, these plans have been delayed. And in true Night Elf fashion, Foggy did go for that fast expansion himself. Night Elf, one of the fastest and securest races to do exactly that, next to human, I would say. Entangle Ghoul. Alchemist actually in the mix as well, because of a really fast tech by the Night Elf. Actually turns tier 2 just the moment the Undead did. So both players with second heroes, of course, Foggy is miles ahead right now. Not only because he's equal on tech, but also because of his second base. Now we see Gargoyles actually coming into the mix. Double Crypt is something that many Undead players like to do these days against Night Elf. Double Gargoyles are not only strong anti-air units, which is a style that Night Elf likes to go for a lot. You know, going for mass air, the Royal Night Elven Air Force. Going for hippos only, going for some fairy dragons later. It can actually cause a lot of damage and a lot of pain onto the Undead. Speaking of pain and damage, that is a hurt Death Knight right now. And I think XlorD should definitely retreat. He cannot steal anything anymore with a Death Coil. He needs to make sure that his heroes do not take critical damage. And Undeads, you know, although they have a lot of stuff going for them at the moment, guess what they still do not have? Innate health regeneration. The Ritual Dagger, that's not going to cut it. The Unholy Ground a little bit. And of course, what happens when you go 2 Crypt Gargoyles is you're not going to have a Slaughterhouse. That means no Obsidian statues anytime soon. And here comes the might of the Night Elves. We see the Archer army. We see the heroes on the side of Foggy too, trying to do the best they can to harass. But with the Frost Nova, he needs to respect the heroes still. 2 Archers. Is it actually going to be 2 Archers or just 1? I think it's just going to be 1, but they fell regardless. And that buys enough time for these Ziggurats to go down. XlorD can now, of course, repair them with that 1 Acolyte. He can transform them into Nerubian Towers or Spirit Towers alike. The Acolyte goes down, but I'm pretty sure a new one will be sent over. And look at all the skeletons. I think... Oh, is he going for the surround? Is XlorD doing it? 4 units, 2 heroes. Is he going to surround that Alchemist? He's trying to go for it. The expiration on the skeletons there saves the Alchemist for now. It looked very dangerous there for a moment. So definitely a sweaty situation for the Night Elf player, for Foggy. But he manages to get this guy out to safety just in time, and that's what we talked about. the hippogriffs, the fairy dragons, this very popular mass air style for Night Elves against Undeads is really starting to kick in right now. And in decent numbers, hippos will wreck gargoyles. So what is the plan now for XlorD? We see many Undead players transition into Crypt Fiends with Web after building up a respectable, decent number of gargoyles to sort of mind game their opponents. You know, when there's gargoyles versus hippo riders, gargoyles versus hippos, and fairy dragons, oftentimes the Night Elf player will just produce more air because they should be able to overpower the gargoyles with 2 bases against 1. Only for the Undead player to then have Crypt Fiends. And guess what? Crypt Fiends against hippos, that's a pretty one-sided battle, isn't it? Nice Frost Nova steal here, by the way, from XlorD. But I think at this given situation, at this given point in time, he cannot compete with the Night Elven forces, so he needs to tread very carefully. The Lich, currently with decent damage, Claws of Attack 6 and Gloves of Haste. Pretty respectable early game damage. The Death Knight, not looking too hot, no protection on him anymore, no mana, so maybe a little bit of creeping on the Undead side is in order. This expansion place now very well protected for XlorD, and that expansion is so important. I don't think XlorD really needs to commit to any skirmishes, to any engagements right now. He just needs to wait until the expansion is fully running and mining, and until he can pump out more units in the process. So the problem for XlorD right now is that his income is very low. His resources, his economic situation is very terrible compared to the Night Elf, who's been mining for such a long period in time now. Foggy's looking very strong. And Foggy, what is he trying to do here? If you're ahead economically, try to get ahead a little bit more. He's building a 3rd Tree of Life to potentially take over the red creep spot mine. Of course, that needs to be crept first, otherwise that's not going to work out. But with the superior forces, I think he will have exactly the manpower, the lady power, to do exactly that. Alright, so Hippo Riders, that's a really uncommon picture we see here, guys. Normally, gargoyles, they shred Hippo Riders. You know, fairy dragons are okay, you know, to have with hippos against gargoyles. Hippo Riders, not so much, because their attack speed is very slow, their damage is not nearly as great of a hippo, you can see that, 50 to 57. Although it's normal damage, it's much more superior, of course, whereas Hippo Riders, they are a ground sniping unit, they are a harassing unit, you know, they're not air versus air fighters. Good thing for Night Elf, though, is they can, of course, remove the archers at any given point in time, so they are also a very flexible unit. Foggy is trying to take some creeps dangerously close to the Undead base. Not sure if that is a good idea for him. He's still under the impression that his forces are superior, but he also needs to be careful and respecting the Undead at any given point in time. Tier 3 tech now live. The economic situation for the Undead for XlorD is getting better by the minute, and I'm not sure why he positioned himself into that high ground. Sure, high ground is always nice to have, superior vision and superior attack damage, because the low ground units can miss. But does he really have what it takes? Isn't this a little bit risky for the Undead heroes to just steal the Ogre Magi, to just harass and snipe a couple of units there with Coil Nova? Let's see. He basically has to fight on 2 fronts now, Foggy that is. Of course, only a few units of this creep camp can attack up in the air, and he already killed 1 Berserker, so that's nice. Full damage onto the Lich right now. Statues in the back, they're out of range. Lich, miss after miss. That is what we talked about earlier. The Death Knight steals the item, though, gets the Healing Stone, the Hellstone, and that is a huge one. Not only could this save his life, doesn't use it, uses the smaller healing potion first, gets body block, can he shoot his way out? TP gets used last second there with that strong focus fire from the Night Elven heroes and the Hippo Riders. So, let's take a look at the losses here that XlorD had to endure. He had to take a healing potion, true. He had to use the TP, true as well. However, he was able to make Foggy sweat a little bit. He stole the item, and the Health Stone is the big one. Health Stones and Mana Stones are probably one of the most useful items in Warcraft 3. They give you a bang for the buck. The Mana Stone, of course, a little bit more valuable than the Health Stone because mana is gold. Mana is king. But the Health Stone is not to be underestimated regardless. A little bit of health regeneration out of fight. Combos very well with the Unholy Aura. And, of course, it can be consumed to provide some burst protection against damage coming from Foggy. So, what is Foggy doing? He's doing the one smart thing that is left to do on the map. He's using his Tree of Life as an additional body blocker, as an additional meat shield, bark shield, for this relatively strong creep camp. and he's getting his third base up relatively soon. Of course, these red camps, they also provide fantastic items, one of which he found right here, Claws of Attack plus 12. He's probably going to pass that on to the Keeper because he is a ranged unit, and you normally want to stack that up on ranged units. They're safer, they're not as likely to die, and they can spread their fire onto different targets a little bit better. So, sick items right now. Combine that with the Skull of the Beast, which he has 2 of, by the way. That could be some astounding extra bonus damage over the course of time. Please don't forget to pick up the Tome of Challenges. YouTube comments and Twitch chat alike will greatly appreciate it. There we go, Foggy. That's my man. We see 3 statues coming in. Relatively low fiend count still for XlorD. Of course, with his economic situations and with the early losses he took, he was a little bit slow building up that strong army count. And in terms of creeping, because of that low army, or relatively weak army, he just can't really go for the camps that Foggy can. He's probably trying to go for that rat camp potentially to snatch away one of those good items. But is Foggy going to allow it? Of course, he will have vision on the map everywhere. Sends out those treants. We'll probably have some wisps somewhere scouting as well. Let's see. The red camp has been commenced, and I think Foggy actually lets it go through. So both players with a really, really strong item. Right, what's it going to be? We see the Claws of Attack plus 12. Equality for all races in Azeroth on Last Refuge. And of course, if you take a look at that inventory, guys, this Lich is now going to be a powerhouse. A very scary one-man army. Plus 24 damage coming in here, of course, gets added as well from the Circle of Nobility. So that is going to be a whole... Oh, never mind. I thought it was 2 claws plus 12. My mistake. So it's basically going to be 6 plus 2 plus 12 plus 5 equals 25. So there we go. We see a lot of extra damage coming in regardless for the Lich here. Fantastic stuff. This guy's going to be a killing machine if left untended. Of course, not really the toughest hero to kill, so the Death Knight will have to be on duty to always make sure to have enough mana and death coils available. So this person is the MVP, the VIP, and needs to be protected at any given cost. Third hero so far for neither of the players, actually. Sometimes we see a Dark Ranger for... Not just sometimes, actually. Many times we see Dark Ranger third. For the Night Elf player, against other races, against the Orcs, for example, in the Orc versus Undead matchup, we see a Pit Lord, sometimes a Dread Lord. So nothing along those lines here in this game for now. XlorD tries to level up both of his first and second heroes in the meantime. Night Elves, third heroes are very, very rare. Sometimes if you mass tier 1 units, we had that previous fight night actually with Neutron going for it. You will sometimes see a Priestess of the Moon simply for the True Shot aura, of course. Adding some extra damage onto all of your ranged units, which normally Night Elves have plenty of. This is a pretty hefty attack here onto XlorD's expansion. What is the Undead player actually trying to do with it? Once this Necropolis gets sniped down, he can no longer TP into it. So XlorD, he tries to commit for a counterattack. He's going for a base race, so if you will. He's trying to take down the Night Elven production, but that means he basically gave up on his expansion. There's 2 reasons for this. First of all, he values cutting down the production, getting some counter damage onto the Night Elf base higher than defending his second income base. Or secondly, he could also think that his army is currently not strong enough, and a TP would have resulted in him losing more than he actually gained. So right now, he forces Foggy into a TP by himself. Or is he? Is that a TP coming through? Or is it just a TP staff? No, it's just a tele staff on the Alchemist because the third expansion was under attack by those ghouls. So very calm and collected, very smooth reaction here by Foggy. In the meantime, of course, that means that he's going to lose more and more production facilities. Up to 4 Ancients of Wind, by the way. With triple base economy, you can pump out those units like there was no tomorrow. These Fairy Dragons, by the way, come out, get wept immediately, but don't get focused. Right now, XlorD wants to take down the big tree. It is going to be a base race. Ladies and gentlemen, who's going to reign supreme here? Right now, I think Foggy's cards, he didn't take down the Haunted Goat Mound. This could be a mistake that costs him. Foggy looks a little bit confused right now. What is he supposed to do? His Alchemist is no longer with the main army. His Alchemist is still trying to reinforce later. Here comes the Keeper, though. Keeper trying to defend this base to the best of his abilities with all the units, Alchemist included. Here we go. It's a very chaotic, a very hectic fight. The Lich has fallen already. No protection available from the Death Knight, who was surrounded and in the thick of things by himself here. The Lich, the main damage dealer, one of the biggest units in the unit arsenal of the Undead player, is no longer with it. Can XlorD still fight this? I mean, sure, the Lich died, but guess what? In the meantime, XlorD was sniping down those Fairy Dragons one after the other. It's a dragon bloodbath, if you will. But can the superior numbers still make the day for the Night Elf player? Unit after unit is getting wet, is getting sniped here. Very good fight for XlorD, regardless of how terribly it started. 2 more Fairy Dragons go down. And keep in mind, guys, that with the previously launched attack by XlorD, these production buildings have been cut. Foggy now, actually struggling. No more lumber to reproduce. This is terrible. The situation and the fact that he has to repair right now actually makes these lumber problems even worse. No shredder available right now, only the keeper. He has so much gold. He would love to produce, but guess what? No more wispies around, no more lumber income. This is a terrible situation for Foggy. You can be the richest man in the world, but if you don't have the lumber, you cannot reproduce. This is a problem right now. What is Foggy trying to do to compensate for this? He spent so much lumber into reproducing those Ancient of Winds. There's some wisps still traveling, trying to escape the undead forces here. And now we see something that players like Lawlight have been very well known for, preferably on maps like Twisted Meadows. Mass expansions, mass bases coming in for the Night Elf players. We see one tree here, another one over there that's actually getting reinforced by a shop right now. And we see, of course, the natural still being protected here. And look at how many wisps Foggy's is producing right now. Lumber is his main priority, his #1 goal. XlorD, in the meantime, he does have the superior forces at the moment. Hero-wise, he's looking very strong, close to level 6 Death Knight, actually. That could mean that we're going to see Aura level 3, because I don't think Raised Dead is going to do anything against Elven air forces, so should be a logical choice. If he kills one more wisp, if he kills one more tree, that level 6 will be there. Here we go. And it should be Aura level 3. Doesn't really skill it right now. I'm gonna cheat on my overlay. That also allows me to check abilities a little bit more. But let's see. We're going to find out what he picks after a while. Of course, there's so many things that XlorD has to do right now. Needs to save some acolytes, needs to protect his army as well, needs to take a look at Foggy's positioning, that sometimes the multitasking will cause you to delay your level up. Aura level 3. Here we have it confirmed. So the Undead army is now faster and more regenerative than ever before. I really like what XlorD is doing, by the way. He says, you know what? We're going to keep your lumber income. We're going to keep your economic situation as terribly as possible. And we're going to take down your bases one after the other. And if you want to fight me, you do that at your own risk, because we have still 4 Fiends, which is respectable. We have a level 4 Lich, a level 6 DK, and there's not a whole lot you can do, because if your heroes show up unprotected, we're gonna nuke them down. Let's take a look at the Night Elf hero protection. 3 claws. This keeper is no joke. Definitely needs to be respected, but where's the protection? Where are the invulns? Where's the healing? Where's the TP? Nothing available for Foggy right now. He's such a rich man. Still, with so much income, with all those bases. But the item front looks very lackluster right now. And if XlorD scouts this out, if he sees what Foggy is doing here, what risky game he's playing, he only has 1 Staff of Preservation, then he could maybe think about coming back. But of course, what the economic situation is looking so good for Foggy is looking terrible for XlorD. Limited to his main base, 240, 230 gold right now left in there. Soon he will be not mining anymore. And he needs to save some gold to build up his own expansion. And this is the situation we talked about. Ladies and gentlemen, these Night Elf heroes are exposed. These units are exposed. XlorD finds target after target, heals the ghoul, saves the ghoul actually. Really sick, cool to see. Staff of Teleportation was bought in the meantime, by the way. That was a smart choice for sure. Double Staff works, of course. Staff of Teleportation on one, Staff of Preservation on the other. Very nicely done. Look at those body blocks though. Oh, XlorD, you beautiful young man. Look at the damage. Look at the body blocks. This is exactly what he was hoping for. A level 5 keeper is no more. He dug himself a shallow grave. And now with so much normal damage. Where did those ghouls come from, by the way? He must have produced them secretly in the base. So many ghouls right now, so much normal damage. That, of course, helps greatly when it comes to taking down those buildings. Zapper. Zappity zap, zap it up. A 3rd one goes down, and the main base of the Undead is now naked and exposed. No more main buildings. That was so close. The TP was already being used, but just a tiny little moment too late here. 3 zappers to take down the Undead main. Can he reproduce a necropolis? He tries to do that at the main base. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an absolute nail-biter of a series right now, of a game. Death Knight, level 6.5, but what can he do? The Night Elf player doesn't want to go for a straight-up fight anymore until he has a superior army and good heroes. Keep in mind that this Alchemist has no TP, no invul, needs to use the Chemical Rage to use the movement speed to get out to safety. Maybe buys a Zeppelin right now, needs to evacuate immediately. Oh my goodness, Foggy. What a reaction here. What a lightning speed reflex. And keep in mind, that Zeppelin, with all that damage on the Lich, needs to get the hell out of dodge right here, right now. Keep in mind, though, this tree is going to get taken down. Even the Acolytes are helping the fray. And this Necropolis is crucial now. Needs to be protected so that XlorD won't be revealed again. What happened here? When did the Zeppelin actually get scouted? Wasn't he into safety already? Good thing he was not up in the air. Because otherwise that would have been a disaster to slow down the Alchemist and almost guaranteed kill him. So no more Zeppelin. There's a Shredder as well. What does the lumber situation like look for Foggy? Actually, it looks much better right now. 500 lumber, that's definitely a healthy amount. But more units end up dying. Nice shapeshift into the static form for the Fairy Dragons, giving them much more armor. Really, really important. And look how mobile Foggy is right now with the teleportation, with the global mobility. The shenanigans. Needs to be careful, though. Those ghouls, they could surround and kill at any given time. Speaking of a kill, there's a level 7 for the Death Knight. He shows up from behind. Not only rogues like to do it from behind, but Death Knights also apparently like to do exactly that. The Alchemist in so much trouble, has no more spot to save himself to. I think that might be the double hero kill for XlorD, and that buys him so much time. That gives him so much experience for a level 5 Lich. It's close to level 6 already. And this buys some valuable, valuable time. Because what is there really for Foggy? He will have to resurrect both heroes at the tavern if possible. That is very costly. And look at Foggy actually. His resources, they're running out. We thought for the largest moment in time that the mass bases that he was spamming, they were actually enough to make him swim in gold, you know, to make him almost drown in lumber. But no longer the case. I don't think he has enough resources to reproduce his heroes right now. And XlorD, the vacuum cleaner, he's currently trying to go for unit after unit, hero after hero, but of course he needs to be aware of the grave and dire situation of his buildings right here. There's no more Necropolis to teleport to, you know. He still has that TP scroll. He's out of funds himself here. Saved enough gold, though, because of unsummoning and because of selling certain items to always have enough mana to go for another main building. But does he even have an Acolyte? Does XlorD have an Acolyte somewhere? I don't think so. There's no more Acolytes, ladies and gentlemen. That means no more main buildings. He will be revealed until the end of time. I love the fact that XlorD has 2 Spirit Towers here against those air units. That will be very, very useful and very valuable. So what does Foggy have left? 1 mining base, almost 2, but that one gets harassed by a destroyer. Very nice. Every wisp matters right now. He still has no heroes. He's basically playing a round of StarCraft right now. He won't have enough resources to revive any of those anytime soon. I'm proven wrong. The Keeper is right here, right back. But of course, once again, look at that inventory. So aggressive, so offensive. But what is it really going to do to him when there is no protection against the infamous Undead Hero Burst? If that Tree of Eternity falls, that is going to be a big blow. The ghouls come in. Normal damage is such a help. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think Foggy can pull the wisps, right? They're going to get melted by a Frost Nova. And the Lich in general. So huge. Look at that. The Lich now TPing in with a Staff of Teleportation. Was that too greedy, though? He's going to get surrounded. The Death Knight is nowhere to be found here. And keep in mind that we talked about this damage on the Keeper of the Grove. Plus 23. Close to level 6 Lich, though. Had an invul. So huge. And the Undead Cavalry will be here shortly. Can he get another kill on the Fairy Dragon? Webby? There goes the web. And he gets it. Level 6. Is that a death and decay for some counter harassing, for some counter building destruction? Keep in mind, death and decay. Percentage damage onto everything in its path. One of the greatest sieging tools in the game. And it is death and decay, as you can see here. Foggy is trying to use the superior Night Elven mobility to somehow stay relevant in that game, to somehow stay in that game. It is a base race par excellence here right now. The Lich, is he going to use his heroic ability to take down that tree? To speed up the process a little bit? I like what XlorD did here, by the way, splitting up his forces. Needs to keep those fiends in the base so they can whip the invaders. Needs to be careful, of course, though. That Keeper, with trees, with Entangle, can take down fiends like they were made out of butter. Alright? So we see the Undead Heroes and the Ghouls take down building after building. And Foggy's running out of bases here. He needs to be very smart and careful. With surgical strikes, he needs to take down Undead structure after Undead structure to win the game by killing all enemy structures. And XlorD, he knows, of course, he knows what Foggy is trying to do. He knows that he needs to keep his base safe and sound. The Staff of Teleportation on the Lich is an MVP item here right now. He kills the first Spirit Tower that takes some some defenses away. Almost, actually. Survives with 6 HP. That's so sick. Look at these fairy dragons, still ready to strike. Foggy needs to play this Muhammad Ali style. Sting like a bee. Without getting hit, you know. Fast feet. That is happy feet. That's basically what he needs to show here. And XlorD, what can he really do? How far can he move outside of his base? In my opinion, he could even consider leaving the Lich here. Of course, the Lich is such an important sieging weapon as well with Death and Decay. Oh, the Zeppelin. So annoying. Of course, Foggy knows that all the Fiends are left in the Undead's base. So that the Zeppelin won't get webbed. And this is actually really tricky. The strong late game entangle plus DPS from the Keeper. Every ghoul kill, as crazy as that sounds, has high priority right now. Because ghouls are the main weapon when it comes to sieging up those buildings, right? Found a couple of wisps here. Very nice. Made them detonate though. So no experience for the Undead player. Let's see what we have here. No mining base here. No mining base over here. What's the resource score like for Foggy? Is he out of gold for the... He's out of gold. That means no more Trees of Lives. Unless he sells some items, you know. Could sell maybe some claws. I don't think the auto attack damage on the Keeper is really needed. The Keeper TP'd back, by the way. That means if he gets caught here right now with the superior movement speed from the Unholy Aura on the Undead, if he was slowed there by the Frost Nova, I think it would have been GG. But he gets away for now. The elusive creature known as the Keeper of the Grove. Not to be stopped right now, and we see a counterattack. For the Night Elf player, the trees, they're just being sent moved in there. They get dispelled, though, by the Destroyers. Very nice micro there. Very nice army split by XlorD. Let's see. The DK has no mobility whatsoever. Maybe a staff on him as well would have been nice. You know, sell one of those items here and buy another staff of teleportation. He gets one right now, actually. Or was it transferred over? Or was I just blind all along? Who knows? This game is so tense. So 2 teleportation staffs. It looks to me like Foggy sold an item just to get another Goblin Zapper in. And guess what? That could be a 200 IQ move. Goblin Zapper, so much damage. Explode onto 2 buildings. And Foggy is committed. Foggy's all in right now. Or is he? I thought he was going to try to kill more, but of course the Staff of Teleportation is so huge. Honestly, I think XlorD has this. XlorD has this. Foggy TG's out. That was one hell of a series, or one hell of a game here. Oh my goodness. So many times do we see Undead players fall to this cheesy multitasking game, you know, where the Night Elf just multi-expands and then slowly takes you down because of superior mobility. But not this time. XlorD, the German Undead player, reigns supreme with one hell of a game here. Really, really strong decision-making, I think, by XlorD. Building that many ghouls, splitting up his heroes, buying the teleportation staffs, leaving the Fiends at home to take care of the air units of the Night Elf player. Foggy tried so hard. He got so far, but it wasn't enough. He had so many bases there, such a strong economy. But I think that one time where he was out of lumber, which prevented him from immediately reproducing from 3 bases, I think that was what cost him. So, great game. Very close one, and I think both players played to the max. I hope you guys enjoyed this game. If you did, feel free to let us know in the comment section down below. Feel free to leave a like and a subscription if you want to see more Warcraft 3 content on this channel in the future. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and I hope you have a great day on ladder. See you in the next episode of the Kendric Series with more Warcraft 3 replay casts. Peace.